Gotham is a microcosm of our world where people can live these forsaken lives.
That dark, seedy place where villainism hides.
It also does feel operatic and like it has a certain grandiosity.
Gotham City is a living, breathing organism depending on the creative people behind it. They give Gotham life and new iterations.
I was always fascinated by Gotham and all the characters within Gotham. When this opportunity came along, I was really interested in it because it was the Penguin, and I loved every iteration of the Penguin that I had experienced.
They're taking back Gotham!
The world that we get to live in while we're shooting it is so vivid and so like 4 steps away from the real world that we're in.
There's like a different perspective on what Gotham is from what we've seen of it before. You're getting a much closer look and deeper dive into like the underbelly.
In The Batman, we see Gotham from above. Our show is anything but that. Oz is starting at the bottom, looking up at Gotham to see what's for the taking.
It's quite bold, the show. The themes explored are extraordinarily dark. But it also felt like a very human story.
To me, The Penguin is looking at the profound corruption of Gotham. It's a dark American dream story. When we were finishing the movie is actually when the idea to do the show came about.
Matt said he was thinking of a rise to power story in the vein of Scarface. So I took that concept and started to do my own research. I knew I wanted him to be charming, to be funny and cutting.
Lauren created this amazing, psychologically complex character.
Oz is a narcissist, and narcissists are fun.
He does like a chat, though, Oz. He likes the sound of his own voice.
A lot of pomp and circumstance me coming out here like this. Not that I'm complaining.
I've never had so many lines. It's so much fun. Lauren LaFranc has done the most extraordinary job, her and her team of writers. He doesn't think he's a bad person, but you wouldn't call him a good guy. It was an extraordinarily unique experience for me. I've never done full prosthetics before. I've never been so buried beneath the artistry of someone else, totally hidden.
Oz is not a prosthetic on Colin's face. He's a real person. He feels like a real person to me.
I looked at the character and I looked at the face that Mike Marino designed, and I just saw history. And I saw pain, and I saw cruelty, and I saw a bit of sadness.
I have to express what I feel through the design. So on the Batman, I took license with him. I put a big scar across his face. I gave him this very specific long nose that resembled a beak from the side. All of these elements coming together create personality without Colin even speaking.
I'm never with Colin. I've met him one time for 10 minutes. Every other time I'm with him, he's in the full Oz regalia.
We referred to him as Oz. Once he had all that makeup on, Colin stopped being Colin and really was this character.
The first time that I walked on the set, he walks in and I was like, holy shit. I got up as close to his face as that. He's like, you won't see it. There's nothing to see. His ability to just turn it on like that and the limp would come. Watching this guy transform into the Penguin at the drop of a hat, I was like, it's thrilling and terrifying.
The fact of the matter is, there wouldn't be this show if it wasn't for Mike Marino. What he created through his skill, his passion, was so iconic.
The script for The Batman had the template of everything, and he would say the lines as they were, but then I would give him some space to do a little stuff. It's part of what gives that live wire quality to Oz. He's always surprising because Colin is always surprising.
Whoa, hey!
Working with Colin was truly delicious. He likes to improvise, so do I. He said, are you okay with this? And I said, I would love to do this with you.
He's an incredible actor, an incredible partner in this process. It's just so lovely to feel trust with someone that you have to do really horrible things with.
You left your brothers to die in those tunnels.
What the hell are you talking about?
Furiously great scripts, just stuff that actors want to jump into. Characters that are so clear and so deep and so meaty. I've never seen a character unfold so well and so unexpectedly, but so completely.
Didn't know I was walking into a party.
Irish, Italian, Cockney, Yiddish. The immigrant group that starts to come into New York City in the late 1800s were the original base.
Well, maybe it'll be useful, keeping you around.
And then Colin added the voice, which is very distinctive, where the vocal placement is, that gravelly quality in the throat that he gets so well. It all comes out in the end as Oz Cobb.
The most hated here among us. It's yours truly.
In the beginning of the show, he's clearly seen by everyone as a joke.
People keep the penguin around as entertainment.
It was more of a moniker and a nickname that he didn't like.
He has this very crazy colored car with these gold rims. He's trying to make sure that you understand that he is a worthwhile person and he is valuable. And that was just a new take on that character that I had never seen before.
Oz knows the world is a cruel place, and you either get to live beneath the cruelty as a victim of it, or impose the cruelty on those who deserve it more than you.
Audiences are fascinated by morally corrupt characters that have ambition.
We create the world that the characters inhabit through architecture and through set decoration, color, locations, and how all of that relates to the character.
When you're making the Batman movie, you're given a bigger budget. On a television budget, you're doing something slightly different. And no better place represents Gotham than New York City. So being able to shoot New York and make it look like an extension of our movie, that was an exciting challenge.
The haves and the have-nots contrast is very important in our story. Our Gotham is always under a trestle bridge or underpass because our Gotham is in the gutter. Sometimes we're with rich people, but rarely. We're really with the have-nots. We looked for a lot of arches and a lot of bridges and a lot of overpasses to ground the characters underneath structures. Oz is on the bottom, he's on the ground, he's on the street. For Oz's loft, what we had talked about with Matt and Dylan and Lauren was that it needed to be an industrial space.
We've also decided that Oz lives in the Diamond District, and this played a huge role in the layout of his space.
I pitched the idea that he moved into this jewelry repair store, that his bedroom is inside where the jewelry safes are and all the diamonds used to be.
Oz's bedroom is basically placed in the vault. He's kind of taken over the space and not really changed its purpose. Oz has always envied Carmine. Elements of his loft are similar to Carmine's loft, but Oz doesn't really have the taste level that Carmine has.
Tacky.
You'll see a lot of the same gold and marble elements that you see in the Falcone Mansion, elements of where Oz perceives himself to being versus where he actually is now.
I like your place.
Thank you.
Understated.
Damn.
My favorite set design for the show, it's Falcone Mansion. There's so much in here that is literally made from scratch. What I love about this space is that there was so much collaboration between Kalina, myself, our scenic artist, and construction.
Falcone mentioned, this is where I had total freedom. This is where I can actually break away from the movie. So I ended up looking at a lot of Italian villas, and I found one in Lake Como that was the main inspiration behind Carmine's mansion, that just really had this balance of darkness and light, of gold and black marble. I used a darker palette for Carmine because he isn't a welcoming person. He's not somebody that we should be comfortable with.
You're being remanded to Arkham State Hospital for observation.
We really felt we don't need to reinterpret Arkham. There's a very beautiful, strong design in the movie, and we needed to stay with that. There's so much power in it.
A part that we really got to enhance was what we call the White Room, which is the room where Sophia goes through her electroshock therapy in. It is a dirty, white, tiled room where the Sophia as she knew herself goes away.
The camera becomes much more handheld. Most of the scenes are taken from her point of view. It was important for us to see a regression in Sophia's state through using distortion in the lensing to create a distorted view of what she was experiencing.
In terms of editing, the violence allows for it to be more cutting, sort of phonetic onslaught of images too, and a lot of close-ups, which allow us to really get in her head.
When I read the script and the description of the trolley depot, I think I did a victory dance around the office. You always have to ground everything in reality and in real architecture. So I did research. Really, it all started with the history of New York's trolley depots.
Welcome to our new base of operations.
We had scouted the Kingsbridge Armory. It allows us to have a real lobby and carry that architecture into a very large space where you can build a 4,000 square foot set.
We extended beyond the lobby of the space into the actual drug ops, enhancing on the existing architecture, brick inlay, rusted metal.
We came up with the idea of a collapsed tunnel and a collapsed trolley car.
We really wanted to give a space that was totally unique to Oz, but so rich in texture.
Let's go!
For them to reconfigure New York to be Gotham, for it to feel like a different place but still have the heart and soul. I feel like our production design should get all the awards on the planet.
In our Gotham, we're in different neighborhoods that were not shown in the movie The Batman.
Crown Point is the worst impacted by the flood.
It's completely decimated, and it's the most neglected neighborhood.
We researched Hurricane Katrina, we researched floods in Germany, what is left in the street, and what happens the week after people start bringing damaged furniture out of their house. Every belonging that these people ever had is lying in the streets ruined.
The exterior of Crown Point was quite a bit of a search, actually. We needed a building that had an interesting architecture. Then we needed a street that we can fill with debris, completely change every sign.
Yonkers in Westchester County played as the Crown Point neighborhood. I remember Kalina and I going there, and we were both like, this is it, this has to be it.
It was a massive undertaking. From the practical side of it, we brought in dumpsters and trucks loaded with dirt and trash. 20 cars that the prop team brought in, and we filled 3 city blocks. It's exciting to tell that story of Gotham.
It's extremely close to the concept art that Kalina and her team created at the beginning.
Beautiful.
It's remarkably similar. They did a really, really great job.
Oz. Eve's apartment is very much dressed to her aesthetic.
The color was really on the right side of bold for this character.
We paint this woman as somebody that had a colorful, bohemian life. She's a smart, bright human being in the world.
Like the set design, we try to keep our apartment fairly warm and natural and inviting. Most DP wants to be as dark as possible, but then you have to balance telling a story as well.
Here in the shop when we joined the show was a big black umbrella chandelier. Obviously, umbrella being penguin. We painted that sky blue, lined it on the inside with white cane. It was Oz's safest place in the world, under the umbrella in Eve's bed.
The real magicians are my crew. I'm just blessed with an amazing team.
To continue what Matt had done in The Batman, keeping everything really grounded on your feet. Every little thing has to get designed. First shot, we're up above, but immediately the camera starts to descend. We go all the way down to the pavement, so low that when Oz pulls up in his Maserati, we're looking up at the license plate, really trying to say to the audience, let us take you on a journey into Oz's world. One overall mission for the visual effects in this show is to stay as grounded, tactile, and real as possible. It all starts from amazing set dressing and production design, cars flipped over, debris. But to take that further with visual effects, we definitely wanted to add a layer of wetness to it. Nothing should ever be dry anymore. The Iceberg Lounge, which we saw in the movie, now if you look closely, you can actually see a high water line on the wall. Sediments of white, hard water build up, making the street not just asphalt, but making it feel a little muddier. Like subtle, so you don't even know it's there, but boy oh boy is it there. You have a lot of scenes where characters are in cars traveling from one part of Gotham to another. Nothing beats actually feeling the reflections of lights passing through you. We drove all around Manhattan with a car with 9 cameras mounted above to create a library of different roads and routes. And then we display this footage on these LED walls, all synchronized, so that our actors can actually feel like they're crossing the Elliott Bridge or that they're driving through a kind of seedy, dark part of town. Anything you can do to make the actors really feel there and really react to their environment is the only way for that to feel authentic. In episode 2, Oz gets sprayed with blood on one side of his face.
The fuck?
Because how just a masterpiece this special makeup effects prosthetic is, we often don't want to apply anything on top of it. We filmed a mannequin head against blue screen, had a special kind of blood shooter that the special effects department made, and even had a moving light moving right across to mimic that he was in a moving car, so that on the blood itself you saw the little highlights of light on the blood actually move as if the car was moving. Which is something that is probably overkill, but any shot of Oz, we just wanted to make it look perfect. The sequence in episode 3, let's be in Victor's POV. He's seeing the water headed straight for his apartment where his whole family is in at that moment. We basically rebuild the actual location in 3D. We simulate the water like a recipe of physics, calculate all the variables of water pressure and weight and gravity, the strength of the concrete, that at what point is the concrete gonna break, like when the freeway collapses.
The editing is the editing, but the key to that scene are the visual effects. We had that Lego version intercut with our footage, and then week by week, month by month, it would get better and realer.
We have teams and teams and teams of artists who are meticulously crafting and modeling all the things you see. Every car, every lamppost. It's so rich, and people find all kinds of things every time they watch it. And we want them to.
Costume designers are like any other storyteller, except we use clothes as the medium which we tell our stories.
I like your dress. You always had such great style.
Prep is thinking about the psychology behind why people get dressed.
You look gorgeous, man. Powerful. A piece of jewelry or a coat that has a bit of history or flows a certain way are touchstones for the journey of exploration towards your character.
Oz, he's kind of a wannabe. He wants to be respected. He wants to be the big dog on the top. There was a lot of talk of what does a wannabe wear when he aspires to be something. We talked a lot about the Falcones, like what does real wealth look like versus his type of aspirational wealth. As he gets more into the series, a lot of things snowball for him, and so we did want to take him out of the suits to make it feel like he's in less control. When he's down in the tunnels, even at his lowest level, he is a very curated and calculated person. He is thinking about his image to his crew. For this particular jacket, I looked at inspiration from this 1940s military coat, and we translated that to Oz's costume. It is by far my favorite costume. I think it turned out very well, and it speaks volumes to the uniqueness of the show and this version of Penguin that we're trying to tell. There is this underlying narrative that Sophia is dissecting her trauma in real time in front of the audience, and so the clothes reflect that. In the beginning, she conforms to this feminine norm, and we tried to think of how we could take that evolution and flip it on its head. In the beginning, we tried to keep her rather covered up because she was trying to cover those scars. So if you look at sort of the earlier iterations of her costumes, they, were very high up on the neck. As we move into the later episodes, the silhouettes stay the same, but the textures get a little bit more operatic.
The way she uses fashion, the way she uses clothes, the way she uses jewelry. She uses her femininity like war paint.
In this iteration, the rebelliousness did not come from exposing her scars. The rebelliousness of it came from this laissez-faire kind of like punk element to it. She has a sense of self. We try to keep it like she does already have all these elements in her closet. These are the things she likes, these are the shapes that she likes, but she just kind of mixes it in a different way when she feels different from day to day.
Welcome.
For me, Victor's the heart of the story. And so I really try to make him special and humanize him.
You look good. He's just a kid, and I think it's unique because you don't often get this perspective from the people in Gotham.
We did source a lot of vintage sportswear, but because he was in this outfit for majority of 1 and 2, I decided to rebuild all of his clothes. The inspiration came from these starter jackets from the 90s. This is our iteration of it. We built everything. We even built logos everywhere to make it super real. Our terrific tailors made these, and then our ager dyer really put the life into them. So as you can see, all the details, even like the little lint fluff in his Velcro, that was all added in. I really like to think that maybe it was his dad that handed me down, and it really separates him from Oz. And also we thought of him like an onion, right? Like if he had to peel off layers, what would the layers look like? How each layer has a story to it. We even built him a Gotham Guardsman t-shirt. And I thought, what way to make something more real than to allow this fictional city to have a basketball team? You never see this on the show, but we built him a 1970s yellow tank top. For me, these are the important things to help the actor understand their character. And then for me as a designer, these are the things that make me really happy, even though the audience never sees it, because it's a part of why we storytell.
We always wanted this show to feel it's musically a demented cousin of the Batman. As much as I was able to, each character has their own theme, especially the main three, Oz, Vic, and Sophia. Oz's theme can be broken down into 3 different parts. The angry chords were used more in situations where he's about to lose his temper or is feeling small, building up to this release point. For his scurrying sound, it felt slightly chaotic. It wasn't quite perfect all the time. It was always a little hairy. The idea was to try to make it sound a little dirty, running around the city or putting a plan into motion.
We're using a lot of score in a lot of scenes, kind of an undercurrent of something unsettling. It's not wall-to-wall music, of course, but it's definitely there.
For Oz's Ambition theme, we really leaned into more of a lyrical melody with it, rather than the freneticism of the scurrying theme. It can be played beautifully, it can be played aspirationally, but it can also be played in a darker, more brooding tone. As the show goes on and he becomes more of a monster, the sound becomes more brooding, and we started relying more on the lower tones. And we use that theme for Frances as well in a softer way to show that she's the one who is driving him, and everything that he does, he is doing for her. It was really fun getting to score Sophia's entrance into the show because she appears almost like a phantom.
Our choice was to have her glide in as a ghost from the past that Oz really doesn't want to see at this moment.
Her tone is really based around these glass bowls with a tremolo on it. It gave a haunting quality that I think really worked for her character. Sophia's theme began with this melodic 5-note phrase. Around episode 4, this pain motif started developing. We start to see more of her backstory.
You see her lose her innocence. She does become this creature.
We go into her theme, big with the brass, in a gothic, demented way. To achieve Sophia's crisis of identity, I decided to take her theme and elements of her theme, whether it's the chords or the melody, and start using different instrumentation for it. We started putting her theme into the strings to give it a little bit more of a fragile tone, as she is realizing that she has more allegiance to her mother than to anyone else in her family. For Victor, I wanted to do something that was slightly melancholic.
The Giacchino's amazing composers. For Lauren, the biggest thing was the characters, the emotion, the story.
His theme is played in two ways. One is focused on the piano and very spare. The other version, I decided to use a solo viola, a little bit of this numbing but still heartbreaking sound.
Ready, and action. Rain, snow, fire, anything that basically moves on camera, we have something to do with it. We were actually in the prison set, which we had all the prison doors. We had the ability to open and close those doors on cue.
The mess hall is Sophia right after she's got locked up in Arkham. There's an inmate that comes in that's not chained up and then proceeds to kick the crap out of her. We had doubles there for both of them for specific shots. But for the most part, both the actors are really physically capable. And then you have other stunt people around to help control the crowd.
Every time they would bring me through the crowd of women, every single person in that scene was so invested. I mean, I was like still getting chills thinking about it. It didn't feel like we were making a TV show. And those scenes really show what it brings out in people when you hurt them.
When they started slamming Magpie's head on the actual table, we ended up building this soft mat that looks like it blends into the actual table. And then we rigged a blood rig that came up to the side of her head as well as the front of her head to give you the illusion that her head's been split open. The scene is, Oz has Nadia's son, and there's supposed to be an exchange.
Taj, the son, is supposed to be doused with gasoline. It's not gasoline. We dump water on him. And then when he gets to his mom, Oz lights his lighter, drops it in the fuel. We did have a little bit of fuel on the ground, so that's a real effect. And then the actual fire.
And then we ended up giving a lot of elements for the visual effects for them to kind of put that in.
We set up an array of 6 iPhone Pros all around them. We do a process called fusion. Computer analyzes those 6 points of view to create a single 3D model. That serves as the basis for our animators so that we're matching every little bit of their performance. We wanted to preserve everything. It's a show where art and technology fuse together and to help bring out something that's only defined by the performance of the actors.
It's been a great project to be a part of. The locations that we were able to recreate and bring that life of what Gotham was pretty unbelievable.
Rolling.
Action.
It feels like it's just been one epic journey. It's been a tremendous gift to be able to explore this world. I certainly feel incredibly privileged.
You bring other great writers in, you bring great directors in, you cast your characters, and they bring their own life to the story that you build.
The actors that I get to work with, the crew that we get to work with, the producers, the writers, the directors, the most fulfilled I've ever been is getting to shoot this show.
I love Sophia so much. It's like the Grinch's heart. Everything we film, I love her more and more and more. Lauren's written an opera.
There's real depth and authenticity to the world that has been constructed. It's just such a privilege.
It's like an epic Shakespearean play. I kept thinking I was in a dream.
This group is uncompromising. What's exciting is we all have the same shared vision of what this character and what this show is supposed to be.
The story is this whole spread of complexity and of hope and of ambition and of fear and loss, and I was just kind of going, holy shit, I can't believe we're going to get the chance to do this, and here we are.